horizon nobody can reach. Kai Arden grew up hearing the same warning every child heard. Never chase the horizon. Teachers repeated it, parents repeated it, sailors repeated it. Nobody questioned it anymore. The warning had existed for so long that it felt less like a rule and more like a law of nature. Just like gravity, just like the ocean, just like the sky. Because everyone knew one thing: nobody had ever reached the horizon. Not the ancient kings, not the great explorers, not the modern air fleets, not even the satellites launched into the upper atmosphere. No matter how far anyone traveled, the horizon always remained the same distance away. Always. As if the world itself stretched whenever someone tried to reach its edge. For thousands of years, humanity simply accepted it. Eventually, people stopped asking questions. After all, why waste your life chasing something impossible? Kai was one of the few people who never accepted that answer. At 20 years old, he worked as a cartographer in the coastal city of Solhaven. His job was simple. He created maps, boring maps, shipping routes, trade roads, harbor layouts. Nothing exciting, but maps taught him something most people never noticed. The world wasn't stable. It changed. Slowly, subtly, but it changed. Entire coastlines moved. Forests appeared where none existed before. Mountain ranges shifted by small amounts every few years. Most people never noticed because the changes were tiny. But Kai compared maps every day. He saw the differences, and the differences made no sense. Every time he reported it, his supervisors laughed. The old maps were wrong. That was always their explanation. But Kai knew they weren't wrong, because the changes happened too often, almost as if someone was quietly redrawing the world. Then one night, everything changed. A package arrived at his apartment. No sender, no message, no seal, just a small wooden box. Inside was an old leather journal. The cover was cracked and weathered. Across the front, faded letters could barely be read. Expedition 94. Kai frowned. He had never heard of Expedition 94. That alone was strange. Every major expedition in history was documented. Every famous voyage had records, but this name meant nothing to him. Curious, he opened the journal. Most of it described a long sea voyage. Weather reports, coordinates, supply counts, routine observations, nothing unusual. Until the final page, the handwriting became shaky, desperate, almost unreadable. Kai leaned closer. The final entry read, Day 417. We have reached the horizon. God forgive us. There is another world. Then the journal ended. No further pages, no explanation, no details, nothing. Kai stared at the words. Another world? That was impossible. Humanity knew the entire world, didn't they? The next morning, Kai visited the city archives. He searched every database, every historical record, every government document. Nothing. No Expedition 94, no crew manifest, no ship registration, no evidence it had ever existed. It was as if someone had erased the entire expedition from history, and that frightened him more than the journal itself, because ships don't simply disappear from records. Not entire expeditions, not hundreds of people. That afternoon, he discovered something hidden inside the journal. A folded map. It had been carefully tucked between two pages. Kai unfolded it slowly. The map showed a region he had never seen before. The geography didn't match anything in the known world. At the edge of the map was a black circle. Beside it were two words. The breach. That night he couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day he returned to the archives. This time he showed the map to an elderly archivist. The man's reaction shocked him. The moment he saw the map, all color disappeared from his face. His hands began trembling. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. Kai explained. The old man immediately looked around the room, as if afraid someone might be listening. Then he leaned closer. They should have destroyed all of them. Kai frowned. Destroyed what? The archivist lowered his voice even further. The evidence. Evidence of what? The old man's eyes filled with fear. The horizon. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the archivist whispered a name. The Horizon Authority. Kai had never heard of them, and judging by the old man's expression, that was exactly the point. That evening Kai returned home. His apartment door was unlocked. Immediately his stomach dropped. Someone had been inside. Nothing was stolen. His money remained untouched. His electronics were still there. His furniture hadn't moved, but the journal was gone. Only one thing remained, written on the wall in black paint. Stop looking. For the first time, Kai realized he wasn't dealing with a forgotten expedition. He was dealing with a secret, a very old secret, and someone was willing to kill to keep it hidden. Instead of scaring him away, it only made him more determined. Over the next several weeks, he followed every lead he could find. Most led nowhere, but eventually he uncovered a rumor. Not a person, not an organization, a place called Edge Station. According to scattered references, it was the furthest human settlement ever built. A city beyond normal trade routes, beyond mapped territory. A city that officially did not exist. If anyone knew the truth about the horizon, they would be there. Kai sold nearly everything he owned. Then he left Solhaven behind. The journey took months, and the farther he traveled, the stranger the world became. Roads ended abruptly. Villages disappeared from maps. Entire regions seemed forgotten. People refused to discuss certain locations. Whenever he mentioned the horizon, conversations immediately stopped. Fear appeared in people's eyes, as if they all knew something they weren't allowed to say. Eventually Kai reached Edge Station. The city sat alone at the end of the world. Gray stone walls faced an endless wasteland. Everything about the place felt wrong. The people looked nervous. The guards carried weapons designed for war, and every building faced away from the horizon, almost as if nobody wanted to look at it. Then Kai finally saw why. Beyond the city walls stood something impossible. A crack. Not in the ground, not in the sky, in reality itself. A massive glowing fracture stretched across the horizon. It looked like a wound in the world. The air around it shimmered unnaturally. Kai's heart pounded. This was impossible. Reality shouldn't be able to break. Yet there it was, visible to everyone. A giant scar stretching from one side of the horizon to the other. And through that crack, Kai saw lights, cities, mountains, stars that didn't belong to his sky. An entirely different world. His breath caught in his throat. The journal had been telling the truth. There really was another world. Suddenly a voice spoke behind him. You shouldn't be here. Kai turned. An old woman stood nearby. Her face was lined with age, but her eyes were sharp, dangerously sharp. Who are you? Kai asked. The woman ignored the question. Instead, she looked toward the glowing fracture. They told the world the horizon was unreachable. They told everyone it was impossible. They lied. Kai stared at her. What's on the other side? For a long moment she remained silent. Then she answered, Us. Kai frowned. What does that mean? The woman looked at him carefully. As far as history remembers, humanity began here. She pointed behind them. The world you know. Then she pointed toward the fracture. But humanity didn't begin there. Her finger remained fixed on the glowing breach. It began on the other side. Kai felt cold. What are you saying? The woman's expression darkened. I'm saying this isn't the original world. The ground seemed to vanish beneath his feet. Every history book, every map, every lesson, everything he had ever learned. Could it all be wrong? The woman continued. Thousands of years ago, something crossed from the other side. Something powerful enough to destroy civilizations. Powerful enough to erase entire histories. Kai looked toward the crack again. What was it? The woman didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked a different question. Have you ever wondered why the horizon can't be reached? Kai nodded. Everyone wonders. The old woman slowly smiled. No, she said. Everyone is taught not to wonder. Then her smile disappeared. The horizon isn't a natural phenomenon. It never was. Kai's pulse quickened. Then what is it? The woman looked directly into his eyes and spoke the words that changed everything. The horizon is a prison. Silence. The wind stopped. The city behind them felt distant, unreal. Kai stared at the glowing fracture stretching across reality itself. A prison, not a border, not an illusion. A prison. And suddenly one terrifying thought entered his mind. If the horizon was a prison, then what exactly was locked away? Before he could ask, alarms exploded across Edge Station. People began screaming. Guards rushed toward the walls. The old woman's face immediately changed. Fear, real fear. Then Kai noticed something moving beyond the fracture. At first it looked like a shadow, then another, then hundreds. Gigantic shapes emerging from the other world, watching, waiting, as if they had finally discovered a way through. And for the first time in thousands of years, the prison was beginning to break.